And station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is station. We are ready for the event.
And Gaylord St. Mary's Cathedral, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Debbie Roberts, here with the students from St. Mary's. Do you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear. Gaylord St. Mary's Cathedral School, welcome aboard the International Space Station.
Good morning. I'm Nicole Hatch. I'm the principal here. And on behalf of the Snowbirds and Mayor Jenkins, we would like to welcome you to our school. We will get started with our 20 questions.
Hi, Joe. Hi, Joe. Why did you want to go to outer space?
Hello. It was always a dream of mine to come to space. When I was probably your age or so, there were people that were walking on the moon, and that was very exciting. I like to read books that talked about people going to different planets. So ever since I was young, I had this dream of coming to space, and I'm lucky enough to be here today.
Hi, Randy. I'm Gracie. Do you ever have to clean the windows on the the space station?
We do have to clean the windows on the inside because you know us human beings, we've got skin, we've got oils, we've got hairs. We are creatures that shed off some of our stuff. And so we have to go and clean our windows, especially if we want to take pictures. We don't clean them on the outside, however, because there's water would freeze and your wipes don't work so well. And there's actually a window on the space station where somebody on a spacewalk one time tried to clean it and touched it with their glove and left a smudge mark that's there now decades later.
Hi, Joe. I'm Brad. Before and after you took off from Earth, what were some of your thoughts and feelings?
Hey, Brad. Well, before you launch to go to space, you're really, really excited. People ask you if you're scared, and you're not really scared, but it's almost like, that day you're going to the amusement park and you're all pumped up. You've been waiting a long time to go. So that's a great feeling. And then when it's time to finally come home, you kind of have the mixed feelings. Part of you, wants to stay on the space station because it's very cool to be up here and be weightless. But then part of you really wants to get back home to your family and friends and a big fat cheeseburger. So it's kind of mixed emotions.
Hi, Randy. We are Liam and Andrew. What jobs do you do in space besides being an astronaut?
Liam and Andrew, great question. We have so many jobs. You might have seen us yesterday. We were doing a spacewalk, repairing the robotic arm outside. Joe was inside making sure we could go outside and take care of the airlock and get our suits ready. Paolo was working on experiments while we were outside. And then on other days when we're not doing spacewalks, we got science experiments in glove box. We've got racks that are going to look at fluid experiments and then fire experiments. Joe's growing lettuce on space station. On the weekends, we clean space station. We've got to take out the trash and vacuum and clean up the filters and then wipe everything down because we're moving around with our hands all the time. So we got lots of jobs. Science officer, repairman, trash man, and also here to show you what it's like to be in space so that you might be interested in helping us go explore beyond Earth.
Hi, Joe. I'm Alex. Can you tell us one of the surprising or unexpected research outcomes that you have recently seen?
Hey, Alex. Well, I just got up here a couple of weeks ago, so I'm starting a bunch of new experiments. When I was here last time, some of the really cool things, we were looking at how different fluids react in space and the way they hug to the walls, kind of like what he's doing. And that was pretty cool because we saw some things nobody's ever seen before. The same with fire. We were trying to look at how it behaves in space. But this time around, what's cool for me, that's the first time, like Randy said, I'm growing plants. So we added water to them last week. and now they're about, I don't know, so big. And so I'm gardening up here. I guess that's another job we have. Joe Acaba, gardener.
Hi, Randy. I'm Miriam. How does your station that is underwater, Aquarius, survive hurricanes and other natural disasters?
Well, Aquarius has done a really good job over the years. It's anchored to the seafloor with a huge seat with chains and everything like that. After Irma came through, though, there was some damage, and also to the buoy where the lines are tended up to, where we have communications and breathing tubes and that type of stuff. So it's one of those things that nature happens, but I do know that Aquarius is still there, and people can go on. There's a hashtag for Aquarius recovery. They can see what the current status is, and hopefully we'll get it back to an operational state, because it's the only underwater habitat where people can live anywhere in the world right now.
Hi, Joe. We are Cooper and Hudson. When you are sick, can you just lay around all day?
Hey, Cooper and Hudson, that's a great question. Luckily, before we come up here, we go into what's called quarantine, where we try to stay as healthy as we can. So it's pretty cool that usually when you get up here, if you're healthy, you're going to stay healthy the whole time. But if something else doesn't feel right, we have some medical training. We can also talk to the doctors on the ground. But right about now, or maybe tomorrow, I'm feeling pretty tired. Maybe I'll tell my commander I'm feeling sick so I can lay around all day.
Hi, Randy. I'm Kinley. Can you play in space? What do you play?
Well, we get to play. We have some pretty neat toys. Here is a spaceship. I used to build models when I was a kid, except my models didn't float. This is a model of our next spacecraft that's going to go out past, beyond low Earth orbit. It's called Orion. So we can play with that. I'll float that over here to Joe. Then I have a 7-year-old and an 11-year-old, and they had me bring one of these. I don't know, you ever seen one of those? I think you might have. Notice how it can spin without turning the inside. Then once we spin it, it's pretty stable. And we can move it around the space station while it's spinning. And if you don't stop it, it'll keep going.
Hi, Joe. I'm Rem. What does it feel like when you are spacewalking? Does it feel weird?
Hey, it feels awesome. Randy was out yesterday with Mark, and they did a spacewalk. I did my first one many years ago, and I'll be going out in a couple of weeks. It is, both scary, exciting, it's fun, it's awesome, it's a great experience. But usually, it is a serious thing because we're going outside of the space station just in our suits, so it's like a little spaceship for us. But I think everybody who's gone out and has done one says it's one of the most excellent, wonderful experiences of their life. So it's pretty cool, and hopefully you'll get the chance to do one someday because it's really cool.
Hi, Randy. I'm Marilyn. What is the funniest thing that has happened to you while you were on the space station?
Well, Joe, of course. He just got here. Now, the funniest thing is, and most enjoyable things is, being up here in zero gravity is a physically joyful feeling. You realize that, hey, we're human beings. We're made with sensors on us and the ability just to fly where we want and where we need to. We can just figure out what point we need to push off to go in a different direction. And so the funniest and most enjoyable stuff is watching someone who's up here for the first time get used to it, and the joy on their face as they move around and realize they can fly. We all love playing in the pool and doing somersaults and floating. Well, imagine being able to do that without having to hold your breath. So That is certainly, the funniest and most enjoyable thing is watching people enjoy this physical sensation of not having gravity hold you down.
Hi, Joe. I'm Lake. How do you put out fires in space?
Come on through, Paulo. Paulo distracted me. So, like I said, we did studies in the past where we're trying to learn how fires behave. But we have fire extinguishers just like you have down there. And we actually have two types. One is with water. So if we were to have a fire here, we could put it out with some water like a mist. And then we also have CO2, carbon dioxide. So if we had a fire behind one of these panels, we would spray that gas in there, take away all the oxygen, and hopefully put the fire out. But we'll keep our fingers crossed that we don't have one up here.
Hi, Randy. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Lizzie.
It's my birthday. How do you celebrate birthdays in space?
Do you get ice cream?
Lizzie and Sophia, good question, because I just had my birthday less than a month ago. Ice cream comes up on the spacecraft, and so there wasn't one close enough to my birthday where I had it actually on my birthday, but before my birthday, we did, and it was birthday cake ice cream, so that was really, really good. But up here, my wife sent up a package where I had a birthday hat with candles on top. Now, it wasn't real candles, so we hadn't have fire like Joe talked about. And a shirt. There was a birthday shirt. And I also got a gift from one of my Russian crewmates that had our expedition number. And it had the 50 instead of 53. And that was a present from him. That was a very nice present. And so we celebrated by having dinner together. I got a chance to talk to people on the ground. And they sang me happy birthday. So it was really, really fun.
Hi, Joe. I'm Brendan. We grew tomato seeds that had been to space, and they germinated faster than the Earth seeds. If a human being was born on the International Space Station, would their body's growth be affected by microgravity?
You know, that's a great question, and we don't know for sure the answer to that, but we know in the time that we're up here, in these 6 months, that our bodies do change. And so we're doing a lot of medical tests while we're on the space station, before we leave, and when we get home to see how our bodies react and change while we're up here. So I'm sure if we had somebody that was born in space, I can guarantee you there would be some differences that we would notice, but we just don't know yet what those changes are.
Hi, Randy. I'm Donovan. Have you ever seen space trash floating by? Is space trash a concern for the space station?
The space trash that we see is on the inside, and we generate it, and we store it, and then we send it back in our cargo vehicles. And our cargo vehicles, there's only one that actually lands. The other ones actually burn up in the atmosphere. So when you look up into the night sky and you see a shooting star, it may not always be a shooting star. It may be our trash. Now, I think your question, though, is probably more for trash outside. In the orbit we're at, in low Earth orbit, about 250 miles or 400 kilometers, we have space trash from much higher orbits actually pass through. And if it passes through, gets close enough to the station, we can maneuver to avoid it. But out there in the outer areas where there's a lot of satellites, there is a lot of trash. And that's going to become a really, really big problem. We actually have the Air Force and we have the FAA with radars. They're trying to track all that stuff to make sure that we don't have an issue with where the people are. But when we want to go to the moon, we got to go to Mars, to go other places in the solar system, we're going to have to go through that belt of trash. And so certainly that is a concern that we didn't have 50 years ago, that we're going to have to worry about how to figure out how to clear up that trash and keep that area clean so that we don't have a high threat area we have to fly through on our next missions.
Hey, Joe. I'm Andrew. Would it be possible to launch missions to other planets and or build spaceships from the ISS?
Hey, Andrew. So the ISS is really it's a working laboratory, and that's what we're doing up here most of the day. We have this microgravity environment. So it's not really made for us to launch other vehicles that are going to go to other planets from here. We do launch some small satellites for some educational and research purposes. But, you know, the idea of having a space station in which we can launch vehicles to other planets is one that NASA is thinking about and working towards. So I think it's an exciting time, and hopefully you guys there that are into the sciences can think about how we can do that, because the goal is for us to go much, much further than we are today. So hopefully we'll see that here in our lifetimes and have some space stations out there that are building spaceships and going to different planets.
Hi, Randy. I'm Sophie. Are you ever scared when you were in space?
Are you ever scared? Good question, because I think at some point everybody's scared. But as you are learning, bravery is not the absence of being scared or being feared. It's overcoming being scared. And certainly the first time, you know, you're on a spacewalk, and the first time it goes to night, and you're out there hanging on the space station, going around the Earth at 17,500 miles an hour, and you're outside 250 miles above the Earth, that can be a little scary. But what we do is we try and be brave, and we go ahead and remember the procedures that we were taught, the training that we had, and we just keep working, little by little, step by step. And that's a way to not be scared and overcome it.
Hi, Joe. I'm Maggie. How has your perspective on life changed since seeing the Earth from space?
Wow, that's a tough question. You know, when you get to the space station for the first time and you look back on our beautiful planet, you can't help but just change the way you think about certain things. We all grow up. I live in my city. I live in this county. I live in this state. I live in the United States. But when you're off of Earth and you're looking down on the entire planet, now instead of that one house that you live in, you're looking at the entire sphere of where humans live. And you see how we're all interconnected, how we just have this thin layer that's keeping us safe from space. And so, you know, I look and say we're fortunate to have such a beautiful home. And then I also think this is all of our planet. So it's something that we have to work together to preserve it. And we're just all one people. And it really stands out when you see the planet as a whole. It's pretty cool.
Hi, Wendy. I'm Skylar. Can you do a one-finger push-up? Can you show us?
All right, Scott, we'll go ahead and show you what we can do up here, and I'll have astronaut Joe tell you what I'm doing.
So he's doing the regular two-handed push-ups like you guys would do down there.
I have to do one-handed.
Oh, he's getting strong. He can do one arm. Can you do one arm?
And here's the one finger.
One finger. I see it.
And then the no-handed push-up.
No hands. So, yes, to answer your question, yes, you can. It is fun to be up here.
Hey, Joe. I'm Taylor. Do you use artificial gravity?
So we don't have this cool button that we could flip that would make artificial gravity for us, but we do have centrifuges up here, so we can spin things, and depending on how fast we spin it, it can simulate different types of gravity, so we do have that up here. Also, what's kind of cool is if you have a bag that's full of water and air, and a lot of times you want to get that air out of it, you have to spin that around in order to get the air and the water separated. And so we use that as well. So no artificial gravity button that we have, but we do have ways to put a little bit of gravity on the small samples.
Hi, Randy. I'm Sean. What did the solar eclipse look like from space?
The solar eclipse was amazing to see. You know, we're used to looking down at the Earth with the browns and the blues and then the whites of the clouds. And for a lot of the solar eclipse, when we could see the solar eclipse on the ground when it was coming over the United States, it was just this big black dark hole. And so the clouds are so bright and white, it really made the black stand out. We were so surprised at how huge the shadow of the moon was and how it made stuff on the far side of the shadow look so different. And then we also had two passes when we were over the Pacific Ocean and then over the Atlantic where we could look up and see the sun at the maximum eclipse point, and special filters, glasses like you guys had on the ground, and same kind of things on our cameras, watching the sun go over and just eclipse the moon and just leave a sliver of the moon showing. That was really neat to see too. So hopefully you got to see those pictures on the ground.
Well, Joe and Randy, thank you so much for spending this time with us. You are so inspiring. We are so excited to be able to speak with you and get through all of our questions. We will pray for you as you continue your journey.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be with you all today. And as a former educator, it's always cool to be back in school. So thanks for joining us on the International Space Station.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
And thank you to all participants from Gaylord St. Mary's Cathedral Station. We are now resuming operational audio communications.